You know, scattered across our planet, there are these places that just don't fit into any textbook. Places built by people who left behind structures so advanced, so monumental, that the more we look at them, the less we seem to understand. So let's dive in. Let's take a journey to 7 ancient wonders that really challenge everything we thought we knew about the past.
What if the story of human history that we all learned in school is just the first draft? Today, we're going to go searching for the missing chapters, the ones that were torn out or maybe just ignored. We're visiting places that suggest our past was way more complex and, frankly, a lot more brilliant than we've ever been led to believe.
And our investigation kicks off in a place that, by all logic, shouldn't even exist. We're talking about a city built from colossal stones, basically floating in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, thousands of miles from any continent.
Look, we all know the greatest hits of the ancient world, right? The pyramids, Stonehenge. But for every famous monument we know about, there's a mystery that's even bigger, even more baffling. We're about to explore the history that's been kind of hiding in plain sight, from a city built on a coral reef to an underground world 18 stories deep.
Welcome to Nan Madol. Seriously, it looks like someone tried to build Venice, but out of giant black volcanic logs, and in one of the most remote places on Earth. It's this incredible network of 92 artificial islands, all linked by canals, built from basalt columns that weigh up to 50 tons each.
The total weight of the stone they used here is a mind-boggling 750,000 tons. Now, to wrap your head around that number, that's getting into the same ballpark as the Great Pyramid of Giza. But the pyramid was built by the huge population of ancient Egypt.
Nan Madol, on the other hand, was built by a population of maybe 25,000 people. And get this, they had no metal tools, no wheels, and no large animals to help them. So the big question is, how on earth did they quarry, transport, and stack these enormous columns in the middle of the ocean?
Well, local legends will tell you that magic moved the stones. Archaeologists have a more practical theory, suggesting they were floated on massive bamboo rafts. But the real genius of Nan Madol might not be how it was built, but why. You see, this wasn't really a city for everyone. It was more like a gilded cage. The ruling dynasty forced rival chiefs to live here, where they were completely dependent on them for food and fresh water. It was architecture used as a weapon of total control.
Okay, so from a city built on top of the ocean, we're now going to dive under it, to ancient cities that were lost to the waves. Places that, for centuries, people dismissed as pure myth.
The ancient Greek historian Herodotus, he wrote about this magnificent port city called Heraklion, describing it as the gateway to Egypt. For over 2,000 years, scholars and explorers looked for it, but they found absolutely nothing. Eventually, they just decided it must have been a legend, as fantastical as Atlantis.
But they were all wrong, because in the year 2000, an underwater archaeologist named Frank Gaudio discovered the entire city, perfectly preserved, just 30 feet below the surface of the Mediterranean. The myth was real all along.
So how does a whole city just sink? Well, Heraklion probably went down after an earthquake literally turned the ground beneath it into liquid, swallowing the city whole. And it's not alone. Off the coast of Italy, you've got Baia, which was like the Las Vegas for Roman emperors. It sank because of volcanic activity that made the ground itself rise and fall. These underwater worlds are proof that ancient writers were often describing real places, way more accurately than we ever gave them credit for.
Our journey now shifts from cities buried by water to entire civilizations that were buried by prejudice. We're heading to Africa to uncover kingdoms whose incredible achievements were deliberately and systematically erased from the history books.
When the German explorer Karl Much stumbled upon the ruins of Great Zimbabwe back in 1871, he was absolutely stunned. The stone walls, some 36 feet high and built without any mortar, were so sophisticated that he just couldn't accept their origin. He declared it had to be the work of the biblical Queen of Sheba, basically anyone but the local Africans.
And that one quote kicked off a century of denial. The colonial government of the time, Rhodesia, officially banned any research that linked the city to Africans. It wasn't until 1980, when the nation finally gained its independence and renamed itself Zimbabwe in honor of the site, that the truth was officially reclaimed. This was the capital of a vast, powerful African trading empire.
All right, now let's travel north to Sudan, to a place that should be on the cover of every history book, but it's in almost none. In the Nubian desert lie the pyramids of Meroe. And here's the kicker, there are over 200 of them. That's more pyramids than in all of Egypt combined. Yeah, you heard that right.
This was the heart of the Kingdom of Kush, a major powerhouse that traded gold and iron with Rome and India. This kingdom was so powerful that it once conquered Egypt, and its kings ruled as the 25th dynasty of pharaohs. But so much of its history was literally blown apart. In 1834, an Italian treasure hunter dynamited the tops off dozens of these incredible pyramids just looking for gold, leaving a scar that history can never really heal.
Now, let's explore societies that pulled off incredible engineering feats in some of the most extreme environments on Earth, proving that a lack of modern tech was no barrier to world-changing ambition.
The Incas never invented the wheel. They never worked with iron, and they never even saw a horse. And yet, they built a road network that was longer and in many ways more sophisticated than the entire Roman system at its peak. This chart just says it all. We're talking 40,000 kilometers of road, climbing over 16,000-foot mountain passes, and crossing huge gorges with bridges woven from grass. It's just astounding.
Over in Turkey, human ingenuity went in the complete opposite direction, down. In 1963, a man knocked down a wall in his basement and found a corridor leading to the underground city of Derinkuyu. This wasn't just a cellar, it was an 18-story deep metropolis designed to house 20,000 people with everything they needed: schools, wineries, and massive half-ton stone doors they could roll into place to seal themselves off from the world above.
And so, we arrive at our final stop and our most profound mystery. We're going to a small island in the Mediterranean to see the oldest freestanding stone structures on Earth, built by a civilization that simply vanished without a trace.
On the island of Malta, there are these huge stone temples that are 1,000 years older than the pyramids of Giza and about 1,500 years older than Stonehenge. The people who built them were moving 50-ton blocks, but they left behind no written language, no records. And then, right around 2500 BC, they just vanished.
The remains of around 7,000 people were found in an underground complex, but there are no signs of war, no evidence of plague, no mass graves. An entire, highly advanced society just disappeared, leaving only these silent, incredible temples behind.
So what happened to them? The leading theory is a really chilling lesson in priorities. It's believed that to build their amazing temples and move those gigantic stones, they cut down every last tree on the island. And without trees, the soil eroded, farming collapsed, and the society may have simply starved itself out of existence.
And that really brings us to the final powerful thought here. From Nan Madol to Great Zimbabwe, from Derinkuyu to Malta, these places remind us that progress isn't just about what you can build, it's also about what you can sustain. We sit here and wonder how they moved those massive stones, but maybe the real question is, did they forget why they were moving them in the first place? Maybe the mystery isn't about lost technology, but about lost wisdom.